Good afternoon, folks. East, Eastern Coast time. Good morning, folks. West Coast, Pacific Coast time. Good evening, folks. India time. Welcome to the slow hour. In this world where we rush to analyze, to discuss, debate, the format of this show is a slow conversation. The topic for today that we have is decoding Trump. What makes him tick with Americans? Why is he where he is? He is the president. He won the electoral college. And now, going into the re election bid, he is a formidable candidate. To discuss and understand Trump, what he does, what the Republican Party stands for, maybe the tensions within the Republican Party, what are the sentiments, emotions, and facts to which President Trump appeals, which resonate with his supporters, voters? We will be discussing such points with a wonderful guest that I have here with me is uh, Mr. Ven Parameswaran. Mr. Ven Parameswaran would be a wonderful discussant, I think, on the topic that we are looking to debate about, not debate, discuss about, and we will toss different points. Uh, he is a resident of Scarsdale in New York, chairman of the Asian American Republican Committee. He was a CEO of Asian Securities Corporation on Wall Street. And may I add, he's also a senior advisor to the Imagine India Institute. Okay. Uh, the issues that we will look to toss with Wen is to understand what he thinks the electoral situation is right now. And we will pick up topics slow by slow: immigration, race and social tensions, economy, and of course, geopolitics, global, and US India relations. And of course, the Indian American community. So there's a bunch of things out there. At this point, I would request any of our viewers who are watching by, please feel free to ask any questions, any thoughts that you would like to put to this discussion hour, and I would try my best to help answer along with when the answer to your questions. This is being broadcast live on Imagine India Facebook page, also on my personal page, and a YouTube recording would also be available later on, which we will share. Now, that being said, may I invite you, when, to make or give and share your opening thoughts right now on the present scenario of what you think where the elections are going, and on November 3rd or November 10th or November 15th, by when the mail in ballots are counted, who do you anticipate as the president? Probably you will say President Trump, but why do you think, and what if I'm so, or how would, or you may be even handed also. Of course, you're a very fine, analytical, balanced mind. That is why it's such a pleasure and honor for me to have this discussion with you, sir. When your opening comments, please.
Robinder, thank you for inviting me to participate. Uh, this election on November 3, it is said, is going to be the most important election in the history of America. This is because the President Trump is most unpredictable. His unpredictability is the characteristic uh, that is contributing to tensions and more uncertainties. Trump has survived and succeeded because of uncertainties and insecurities. Nobody expected Trump to seek election in 2016. Trump was a well known name, but nobody, no politician or media expected Trump to enter. But he did. And nobody expected him to succeed. He defeated 16 veteran Republicans, 9 governors, and 5 senators. And then he was able to get nomination in spite of opposition from Republican leaders, former President Bush and his brother Jeb Bush. So the enigma about Trump is how to predict that. Therefore, the predicting the election is becoming very difficult because in spite of all the odds in 2016, Trump defeated the most popular Democrat, Hillary Clinton. So that's the basis from which we can analyze Trump.
Okay. Then, if I may, so your opening thoughts are that Trump is an unpredictable candidate, and he springs surprises, and he beats expectations. As you mentioned, he kind of came out tops within the Republican Party, defeating existing governors, senators, other contenders, and he became the top of the ticket, and then also he won. Okay, fair enough. How do you see the polls today, as of now? There are many polls, it seems to say, which seem to say that the popular vote is going majorly towards Joe Biden, right? The play which Trump has is in the electoral votes when going state by state. So, firstly, would you agree that the popular vote is not going the majority? Is not going the Trump way. That is, Trump will be behind Biden in terms of the popular vote. Would you agree on that or not?
Yes. The Trump will not win the popular vote. I expect Biden to win the popular vote by a bigger margin than Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton won by 2%. It is possible Biden could win popular vote by even 5%. Even when he wins by 5%, it is possible Trump will get re-elected because he could win the, as you said, electoral college states. Last, in the 2016, Trump won the election by a margin of 77,000 votes captured from 4 states: Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Now, compared to his performance in 2016, when he was not known as an elected official, he has an advantage now. The major advantage is he has been president for 4 years and he has performed. If he succeeds in reporting his performance between now and 2 weeks, there is every likelihood that he would again capture some of the states, some of the electoral college states, and qualify. The Trafalgar poll has predicted that Trump would win Michigan and Ohio. Ohio, he won last time by 8 points. And this time he should be able to win comfortably. He may not get 8 points, he may win by 2 points. And Michigan is a close election, even though Trafalgar is predicting. The Trafalgar also is predicting that Trump would win Florida, North Carolina, Arizona, and all other states he won last time. Now, why I'm talking about Trafalgar poll, people may not have heard of this poll very much because it is not mentioned in the media. All the polls so far sponsored by media and television network, NBC, CBS, ABC, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and Fox, all of them show a commanding lead for Biden. If you just go by those polls, Trump has no chance of winning this election. On the other hand, if you go by, because Trafalgar poll was the only poll that predicted 2016 election accurately, which I didn't even know. Nobody knew at that time. So this is the polls, and all these polls which have analyzed and predicted are based on registered voters. And the real poll should be on like people who are going to vote. So
Yes.
So this is the situation about the polls.
Okay. I have a question or a contra thought. You mentioned that when Trump ran into 2016, nobody knew about him, but still he won, and now he has the advantage that he has been the president for 4 years, so he's a known commodity. He's out there now. People know him even more, so there is chance or better chance of re-election. But then comes the question that yes, people have known him more for 4 years, but in these 4 years, what he has done, has it helped to boost his brand or equity, or rather, it has depleted him? And now let's get into some of the topics why it makes him tick. Uh, the Democrats or a large section of America would allege that Trump has failed in governance. Prime example being, let's say, COVID or handling of the COVID pandemic. So we do all or many people see that the COVID pandemic is affecting America like it is many other countries. But why do the Trump supporters or folks who believe in Trump, why do they think that he has done very well in handling the pandemic?
Yes, I agree with you that the Democrats have succeeded in uh, in identifying coronavirus as the major problem, and they are accusing President Trump for not managing it. Although, although the coronavirus was started in Wuhan, China, and therefore it will be unfair to blame the heads of states of the world for managing or mismanaging. So Democrats have succeeded in using this pandemic to attack uh, Trump. So far, they have succeeded. But Trump campaign also has been weak because he has failed to uh, advertise his performance, especially economy and foreign policy.
When may I?
Yes,
Thank you. It is a slow conversation, so we are going slow. I'm going slow. We'll give each other time, etc. It's a slightly different format. Uh, I would also like to thank our guests and viewers who are watching by coming by. There have been some questions, and when I believe I think you should be able to see these questions on your screen also down at the bottom. There is Mr. Adarsh Srivastav who's saying that Robin, the subject is vital. Thank you so much, Adarsh Srivastav, sir, for watching by and for your comment. Welcome to post any your question. Then we have another viewer, Sunil Kapila, uh, who is saying, I think when he was listening to your point about Trafalgar Square and all, not Trafalgar Square in London, but the Trafalgar polls, okay. He is saying that the Gallup polls give Trump a great chance. Thank you so much, Sunil Kapila, for your comment, for your question, for your interaction. We'll try and take any questions from any of the viewers who are watching this slow hour discussion. And in this discussion, we are trying to understand Trump and his magnetism and his leadership, which a large section of America obviously believes and resonates with, just like a large section of America believes in Biden Harris ticket. There is a large section which believes in the Trump Pence ticket, and they think that's the better ticket for the future of America. So, as a slow hour, our intent is a non-partisan, bipartisan, anyone objective analysis without getting into a debate, but still trying to toss out some key questions and key ideas. Thank you for watching. Please keep watching and please keep sharing on your Facebook and share it with your friends. This broadcast that you're seeing on my Facebook page, on Imagine India Facebook page, and also, by the way, this is being broadcast on Mr. Ven Parameswaran's Facebook page also. It's live there also. So, friends of Ven, if you're seeing it, friends of Robinder, friends of Imagine India, if you're seeing it, please share this link right now with other viewers also, so that some others may be interested to see. Now, that being said, when we were talking about governance and leadership, and the question that why do a large number of Americans think that Trump has handled the pandemic well? It was a gift from Wuhan, China, but all countries are struggling, including America, and Trump has handled it well. Then you started talking about his achievements in economy. You were going, I want to stop you there for a minute. I want to stick here at this very point. Sure, the pandemic was a gift from China, right? Each country, all leaders are struggling, good, bad, and all. But Trump's, let's say, leadership has been a little bit, erratic, if one were to say, as a third party observer. Now, so do you mean to say that the Trump support base, people who believe that Trump is, a good leader for the future of America, they are either giving him a concession on this COVID count because he is doing other things on other counts like economy and all. We will come. But what about this count of governance on pandemic itself? Do more and more people feel that what Trump has been doing to handle the crisis is good? Because that's what, if more support turns out for Trump, it means that more people think that the way Trump leadership is handling the pandemic is the right way. Would you say that?
Yeah. The the most important thing that will decide the election is economy. Economy, President Trump delivered prior to pandemic and
Mhm.
post pandemic. Gallup poll questioned the Americans, are you better off now than 4 years ago? 56% of the Americans said they are better off today than 4 years ago. This is based on the economy and peace and foreign policy President Trump delivered to the Americans, and that is my that is my thinking on that. That is the reason why 56% of the people feel they are better off today, because we have peace and security in the world, and we have a better economy. Trump delivered 3.4% unemployment, 50-year record. Trump also created opportunities for higher wages. And Trump created peace in the world, especially in the Middle East. The agreement with Israel and Arab countries, that is an epoch-making event.
When may
Yeah,
I please?
yeah.
Yes. The interesting thing with the slow conversation is that we are speaking slow, so we can interrupt each other politely and without overlapping the talk. Thank you. We will get into that. So the message I get from you is that economy is good, so that's one reason. And second, foreign successes, foreign policy, including peace in the world, as per what Americans think, and the Arab Emirates and Bahrain peace accords. We'll go further in that, but I want to kind of take this occasion to engage more with our audiences,
Yes.
because when you see the questions which are coming are what I could ask or you may want to tell. I think the intent of the slow hour is that to help answer the questions which are in the minds of our viewers right now, right?
Mhm.
Now, one question I'll come to was on the corona pandemic, but I want to take this question from Ishleen Kaur. Ishleen is asking, in fact, this is another big area which in any case we would come. What is your view on the protests that took place against police authorities in the US by civilians? The protests against police, that ties into the social tension, right? And the perception of the police, the George Floyd case, other cases, Black Lives Matter, and some other incidents and movements which are there. So what is your take? Why the protests are happening against the police?
Okay. President Trump is running on two things: law and order versus lawlessness. He's also running on border country without border and country with border. the the protests have happened not because of Trump. Protests have started by Black Lives Matter, and they have their own agenda. So the protests, and Trump has been vehemently against protests, and he wants to maintain law and order, and therefore he supported the police. Whereas some of the states headed by Democrats, they were in favor of defunding the police. And if there is no police, there is no law and order. So,
but, sir, true. So, if I were to say a couple of things, I'll work backwards. Uh, you said that some of the Democrats and Democrat states are talking about defunding the police. I would submit that I think an objective assessment of that sentence would be that defunding probably did not mean complete zero budget for the police. It meant some other mechanisms to reduce, the high budgets that the police has. They have almost as well equipped as a military actually, which is fine. So I would just like to point out for the sake, and you may please correct me, I think defunding did not mean giving zero budget to the police, right? That being said, now further back, sure. So you're saying that Trump is, highlighting the fact of law and order. Definitely so, right? Still, even with law and order agreed, yes, should be strong. How is it that okay, Black Lives Matter maybe came and went, but when incidents like George Floyd happen, there can be spontaneous emotions, right? So do you think, if not, let's say not you, I'm saying, but I'm looking at you as a broad mind to kind of give an analysis of the broad Republican support-based things. So do folks think, or a large number, because that's what makes Trump tick with his support base. So they believe that these are not spontaneous demonstrations, but they are, orchestrated. Is that the point?
these demonstrations, according to me, are instigated by certain interest within the Democratic Party, and they are unofficially encouraging these demonstrations. I understand the FBI is investigating the origin and who are behind these demonstrations. That investigation is going on. We will know, because
Okay.
America cannot allow lawlessness and riots and destroying the private properties. We cannot do that. We cannot allow that. So this investigation is going on right now.
Okay. A quick question in a slow conversation. This viewer who put that question is asking Ishleen a follow-up question, if you can. So, but sir, won't these clashes affect the elections? What effect? Okay, so now the core question is that what effect do you think of these clashes, civil police clashes, and such, what effect would it have on the elections, and which party would stand to gain from it in a negative sense, even if it's devised, or even if unintended consequences, who would benefit?
It's a very good question, Robinder, you're asking. And I think this is what is in the mind of many voters, especially the suburban residents, suburban women. And Trump is appealing to them. talking about law and order is more important for our security. Uh, so, majority of the Americans will be in favor of law and order rather than allow lawlessness. I should also underscore a point. While the riots were going on in Oregon, uh, in Wisconsin, Minnesota, I was disappointed that the Democratic Party leaders or the governors who were in charge of those states did not make a statement uh, discouraging such activities. The candidate Biden also kept silent. This is an issue which is going to be, which is being debated within in the minds of the voters when they cast the vote. Yeah, they are going to take this into account. In this, I think President Trump will be favored because he
Thank
is
you.
fighting for law and order.
I see. I see. There is a comment from a viewer, Hari Nair from Canada. He is saying, and I think this probably you would, I mean, relate to, or, I mean, of course, yeah. His thing is law and order and police brutality are not a zero sum game. It is a folly to think that one cannot exist with or without the other. Right? Yes. I mean, law and order and police brutality. I mean, you can have law and order, but not necessarily, one or the other. Right? It has to be a judicious, not a judicious mix. I mean, brutality should not be there actually. Right? So, thank you, Hari, for your comment. And may I please request any viewers to keep bringing in your questions. We have a fantastic, analyst and a leader of the Indian American community, experienced. Uh, and we are trying to decode Trump and what makes him tick with America and Americans. When now moving on, let's say we've touched some on economy, yes, some on social tensions, yes. Let's come to, let's say, world geopolitics and maybe China, right? Or let us say America's role in the world, in world affairs or in the world theater, not as a policeman once upon a time it was thought to be, but still as a leader, as a weight in world affairs. How do you think the Trump base or Republican Party or the conservative supporters look at the role of America in the global environment? Because that is what Trump carries forward, right? So, what is the broad geopolitical foreign policy views of Trump and his advisors, of course?
Yes.
Not
Foreign,
US India relations for a minute, not US India, but we are talking global, and then we will come to US India in a separate, round of a discussion. So, because there's so much on US India, right?
yes.
So, global America under Trump.
See, President Trump has been nominated by four organizations for Nobel Prize. Why? President Trump has brought stability and peace for the world. All we have to do is compare what was the state of the world when President Trump got elected. We had a serious crisis in the Middle East. It was called Syrian crisis. ISIS was murdering Western citizens and especially Americans. In Afghanistan, Taliban's were also creating a lot of problems. Ukraine had been attacked by Russia, and after taking Crimea, they were going to advance. And Obama administration had not equipped Ukraine with adequate defense capability. President Trump has provided all the defense equipment Ukraine needed. As a result, we have discouraged Russian advances in Ukraine. NATO was weak in the sense the European members especially, they were not contributing and they were not taking much responsibility because America was making the lion's share of the budget. Trump changed that and he forced the European members to contribute 2% of their GDP. So now that these countries are contributing, they are feeling more responsible towards NATO. So as a result, NATO has become more stronger, I would say, than when Trump took over.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah. So in the Middle East, ever since Israel was created in 1948, and I've been here 66 years, this is the first time there is a peace in the Middle East. I am not, there's no crisis as I see it, in the sense, even the PLO is not agitating as it used to be. So what is impossible, Trump has delivered. Many presidents suggested Jerusalem should be the capital of Israel, but they could not decide. Whereas Trump decided and he made the policy, and Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. Second, the Arabs, no Arab country recognized Israel. This is the first time United Arab Emirates and Bahrain have recognized Israel, and more countries are going to follow. And this is a very important achievement for America and President Trump, because this will create stability and peace in the Middle East. This is a huge contribution. Now, India has become closest to the United States during Trump administration. Never before the United States has treated India as Trump is doing now. He has given India the closest ally status on a par with the United Kingdom. So, the relationship between India and the United States, because India is also large, most populated country, that's a huge achievement. And India can balance against China, because India is the only country which has such large population. Now, in trade relations, with other countries. Trump
Uh,
has gone after everyone.
when may I please?
Yes.
Thank you. Just for a moment here, because on trade on other, since you talked about US-India relations, one viewer again, Ishleen. Ishleen, you're very participative. Thank you so much. Please keep your questions coming, and we will try to get you all the answers or whatever we can, jointly, think through. The question from Ishleen is, sir, uh, what do you think? I think that's a huge question. What she's asking, it's in the minds of a lot of Indians. When that what would be a better option for India, Trump or Biden? Especially because we have noticed Biden's speeches that he has somewhere not totally blamed China for the pandemic. So between Trump and Biden, who would be better for India, especially with regards to China?
Yeah. This is an easy question
Okay.
for me, in the sense, based on uh, the attitude and decisions by Trump administration towards India during the past 4 years, and compare that with the Democratic administrations of Clinton and Obama, Trump gets an A, according to me, because never before, to my knowledge, the relationship between the United States and India have been this closer. There is an implied agreement, although there is no formal agreement. Maybe there is a reason, diplomatic reasons. India and the United States are intertwined in defense, and United States will support India against any enemy. When I say any enemy, in the sense, even China. If China, as a result, China may not even attack India. Because of this development, China will be very, very careful. Although the Americans are not going to send their forces to support India, but in these days of modern warfare, technology, sophisticated technology and communications decide success of the wars. So America has the most sophisticated technology and communications which will help India against China. So far, India has not been able to take full advantage because India is still using many of the Soviet communications in defense. And America doesn't want to share with India anything which will go to a third country. So this is being sorted out, I am told. And so this is the huge advantage. Did I answer your question?
Yes, or maybe if you can go a bit deeper into that. Yes, I think you answered the question which Ishleen had, that between Trump and Biden, who would be better for India? In your observation, Trump has been better than any of the previous presidents. So obviously, I think it implies that you're saying that Trump would be a better president at the helm for India, right?
Yes.
And in terms of America's friendship with India, how it will benefit India, you're saying that it will help India counter China, of course, one as a threat, not meaning that American troops or boots on the ground, but in terms of other various, technology, intelligence, and various other modern warfare, tools and methods. America would stand by and with India. I have a question on this, which I was saving for later, but since it came up, maybe I'll put it here on Trump versus Biden in a sense. Uh, the Okay, fair enough. US-India relation, we'll go into it more deeper, are on a very fair, very good, very decent trajectory. Maybe some administration time, it will not go with that speed. At some, it could go with more accelerated and deeper and wider, momentum. The question is, Trump, as you yourself said, is unpredictable and out of the box thinker. And we have seen he himself prides himself on his art of the deal, right? Once he resumes the presidency, what are the chances that he may not strike an out of the box deal with China? One, right? Wherein some grand partnership, let bygones be bygones, we are back in business. Versus a Biden administration, which may not be as stark and as loud in some of its what it says or wants. A Biden administration would continue to move against China slowly but surely. I mean, the one premise which I think I may be making or sharing is that it seems that American public opinion and leadership opinion broadly has turned against China. That is one assumption I'm making, right? So whichever administration comes, China will face pressure from the United States on a range of counts, etc. However, the chance that Trump may strike some grand bargain with China is there, whereas with Biden, such a grand bargain may not be an out of the box, step that he would take. So in that case, obviously, it has ramifications on India, or let's say India's strategic interests from India's point of view. What is your comment or thought on that, please?
Yes. Now, I forgot to mention about what the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans in foreign policy towards South Asia.
When may I? May
Yes,
I? That
yes.
brings the exact question again. We are getting. I think Ishleen is this lady is very interested in this topic. So she's saying yes, but if Biden's is seeming to be leading the campaign, or chances of winning are more, how will it affect India, right? If Biden's chances are more, how would it affect India? So you can now compare Republican, Democrat with South Asia.
Pardon, can you repeat that?
See, one viewer is asking, sure, Trump is a good friend, or has been the best friend for India as a president, and going forward he would also be. But if Biden is seen to be winning right now, a possibility, Biden could also win.
Mhm.
So if Biden wins, how will it affect India?
See, Biden, from the diplomatic point of view, there will be a continuation of policies established already by the previous administration towards India. Not 100%. If we go by the past experience, when Clinton was elected, he appointed his friend from Oxford as Assistant Secretary of State for South Asia, Robin, uh, who started raking up the Kashmir issue by stating
Yes,
Kashmir is a disputed territory.
yes, Robin Raphael. Yeah.
The policy was pro-Pakistan during Clinton administration. But then that changed when Obama succeeded. At the same time, Trump is the first president to stop the military aid to Pakistan. And he put a condition that unless Pakistan gets rid of terrorists, US will not give military aid. That forced the Pakistan to behave and even to cooperate with India on uh, punishing the terrorists. So there will be a continuation. At the same time, the Pakistan, based on the previous experience of Bill Clinton and Obama administration, there will be more. There will be more relationship towards Pakistan will change. Number one, and to China, there is a Cold War started by Trump against China for many reasons. The main reason is the pandemic. Trump has maintained that China is responsible for spreading the pandemic outside China, but they contained it within China.
When,
Number
sir,
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
sorry for the interjection. 2 points from what you said, that if there would be a Biden administration, you expect that it will go softer on Pakistan. That is one, right?
Yes.
Your second, now coming to China, you said that Trump is taking a strong stance against China. Why? Because of the pandemic, right? My, my question is that, do you really think it's only because of the pandemic that the Trump administration or America is taking a strong stance with China? Or rather, isn't it the fact that America would not like China to be the number one superpower?
Yes.
That is the game. And the pandemic is one of the fine reasons, rationales to beat China with. Okay, rightly so also. But the bigger picture why US would or how it would engage with China, would it not be that US, which earlier was thinking to delay the rise of China, now it has come in the mood, and yes, here I think, yes, it has come in this mood, maybe under a Trump administration, that America now wants to deny China the number one slot. Earlier, maybe Democrat or Republicans, earlier presidents were thinking, let us delay the rise of China as the numero uno. But now, under a Trump administration, they've come around to saying, no, not delay, we will deny the rise of China.
Yeah. You're right. Pandemic is not the only reason. China has been very adventurous in 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 preventing the neighbors in South China Sea, especially Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam. They are not even allowed to fish in their own waters. China has been very aggressive and sinking their boats. So those countries have problems against China. Japan has problem against China. Taiwan, South Korea. So all these countries have problems against China. In addition, China has a major problem against India. Last week, the report in the United States that they have China has 60,000 army there against India. It's very alarming. I don't know why they should do this. So this is being discussed in the United States now. This may even move India closer to the United States because of the impending threat from China. So China wants to become superpower number, beating the United States. The United States will do everything to make sure it doesn't happen soon. US would like to continue as a superpower as long as possible. So that is another reason why US will try to prevent Chinese adventures. Now, there is also information here that China has been robbing American technologies and spying in the United States through their students in various universities. As a result, United States had to close the consulate in Houston. Trump took the drastic action of closing the consulate in Houston and even asking some of the students to return. Some of them were doing PhDs and some technology subjects in various universities. So the Cold War is very imminent, and Biden, based on reports in New York Post last week, has been Biden and his family has been making money out of China, especially through his son. So that is a separate scandal, but that is coming just on the eve of the election. And Biden probably will be asked this question during the presidential debate next Thursday. So if Biden and his family are personally involved with China, as a president, he will be also influenced in policies towards China. And this has become political now as an election issue. And I'm glad you raised this subject, Robinder.
But when, on the other hand, or some observers would say that uh, Trump also has business interests in China, maybe, and we'll come to that. But in a moment, let me first also thank some of our other guests who are popping in, waving by. This is General Ashwani Kumar Sivach saying, excellent discussion. Thank you so much, sir. Would be a pleasure. You've been with me as our esteemed guest in one of our earlier panel discussions. Look forward to having a discussion with you in subsequent discussions. Also, thank you so much, sir, for coming by, watching by. Any viewers, please, who is watching, feel free to share this on your own timeline if you think the conversation is of interest to you. This format of the conversation we are doing is a slow hour conversation. It's a slow conversation. Normally, I do host, panel discussions and the hangout hour, etc. But wherein we have more people and we talk quick and move on. But the format of this show is the slow conversation hour because there is so much rush in our lives. We do think that there are times when some of the people, maybe not everyone, but some would like to listen in, to hear in, to a slow conversation. So thank you so much, whoever is watching, sharing, and your comments. Please keep them coming. This would also be put up on Facebook Live, YouTube link, the recording of this session later on, and we'll be happy to share. Now, I'm sorry for the interruption. Back to you. If you can collect your thought on where I troubled you by interjecting with you. So if you can carry on your thought on, yes, I think we were there that you said that Biden topic would come up in the next presidential debate. And my thing was that, I'm playing also the role of a slight devil's advocate. As I've mentioned often, the Image India Institute, we are a non-partisan, bipartisan incubator of initiatives, ideas across cultures, and we typically don't take any political position. But yes, we do take position on issues. So if you ask me on one issue or the other, I would have probably a clear-cut stance on that. But generally speaking, overall, we are bipartisan. So therefore, when I hear something from one side, I would like to know or play the role of devil's advocate from the other side to toss out a better thought. So when sure, this would come up in the debate, but would not a similar question be tossed at Trump given his vast, extensive business empire? And then, if it comes to that, what about the $415 million of debt apparently that he owes, on which also there are questions? That would also come up, right?
Uh, that may come up, but about in China, I don't think I have not seen anything. I have not heard that Trump is involved in any business dealings with China.
You are right, may I? Yes, you
Trump
are
had
right. He makes investments, but maybe when he buys millions of dollars of toiletries for his hotels and resorts from China, for his golf resorts and supplies, maybe lots of the creams, lotions, I don't know, whatever is coming from China, maybe. But yes, no big investment. Yeah.
eh, China is a big issue in American foreign policy now, as you know. Now, Trump, if he is re-elected, and I have a feeling he will be re-elected because of his strength in electoral college states, it's possible. Trump wants to make sure America imports less and less from China. In fact, Trump has given some signals to India to get ready and replace China as America's major supply chain. I wish it happens because it will be also good for India to create jobs and modernize. Americans helped and built China starting from 1979. And now they want to get out of China. So they are pressuring private companies like Apple, which has a very big presence in China, to get away. And I understand Apple is trying to do business in India, trying to transfer gradually. They may succeed. Like that, many other companies are being pressured. So, in the second administration of Trump, he will make sure that America does not depend on China. Now, everything America consumes is made in China. He wants to stop this. In fact, countries like Vietnam have advanced quite a bit in competing with China, even more than India. I have to point this out. I was disappointed that India has not caught up with it and capitalized on the opportunity. So it may come, and India needs foreign exchange, and India needs to export to create millions of jobs. Now, India sent its navy to South China Sea, along with Australia, United States, Japan. It's kind of a confrontation. It's not a confrontation, but you can say it is a confrontation from the Chinese point of view.
Mhm.
So that India never did things like this. So this kind of cooperation jointly with uh, Australia, Japan, South Korea, and United States is a major development in defense against China. And China has been noticing this thing. Even Taiwan's relationship with China is not that great now. There is
Oh, absolutely.
Some tension have started, tensions.
Oh, yes.
And in Xinjiang, Muslims, the treatment of Muslims is also a subject of discussion by uh, by the United States and its allies. There was also a report that China has started mistreating and interfering with the culture in Tibet. So if you take all these things into account, United States, as the leader of the world, will take action to prevent China from becoming more belligerent. The question is, will Biden continue this kind of policy? I'm not so sure, because the Democrats have always had trade deals like NAFTA, North American Free Trade Organization they created. So they wanted to go for other deals, Pacific Trade Organization deals. Trump did not want to. So I'm not so sure about Biden's policies, what it will be.
Hmm. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Now, still, let's say, staying on geopolitics and India, little bit more upon India. What do you see uh, India America relations under Trump? You're saying they'll be more accelerated. But what are or could be some not hurdles, but some aspects where India needs to maybe match up to the speed of what Trump wants, or maybe Trump needs to match up to the speed at which India wants to move, right? So that the two nations are more in synchrony, and results are delivered faster. And I think the bottom line of the results are probably jobs, national security, healthcare. Probably, in fact, these are for India education, and these are actually similar choices and questions for the United States.
Yes.
So, how do you think uh, a more vibrant, a more hyperactive partnership between the two nations on these sectors could be there, and who will need to match who? You will say perhaps India will need to match up to what America wants. America will say India needs to match up. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. India is a very important country in the world, and America recognizes that. Irrespective of Biden or Trump, the government of the United States will attach the greatest importance to the largest democracy, India. They, America has its own self-interest in this. India is the only country which can balance against China in terms of population. And by helping India modernize, by making India stronger, indirectly, America can win against China. The presence of Indian Americans, though small, their contributions are disproportionate to their population in every aspect of American life: economic, political, scientific, technology, education, you name it. So Indians have captured the leadership in every level of American society, and that and influence of the Indian Americans leaders are also impacting the policies of the US government, whether headed by Democrats or Republicans. Therefore, I would say the American policy will be uh, highly supportive of India and Indian Americans uh, from all points of view. So take, for example, Harvard School of Business Administration. They selected an Indian as a dean 10, 15 years ago. He retired, and his successor is also an Indian American. Unbelievable.
Yes.
Not because he is an Indian American, he was selected.
Yeah.
He was selected because of his
Merit.
merits, qualifications. Take, for example, Microsoft. Microsoft, Bill Gates and his president, the former president of Microsoft.
Dartmouth.
Microsoft stock was like a sitting pretty at $28. It never moved up. They were giving dividends. After 6 months search, they selected Satya Nadella as its CEO. Now the stock has gone up 3 times since his inception. IBM recently appointed an Indian as a CEO.
Anand.
IBM has, incidentally, I must say, IBM is the second largest private employer in India. 150,000 employees IBM has, next to Tata's, I think.
Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, I wasn't exactly sure of it. Oh, yeah. That's okay.
Then, so what I'm saying is the the American policies are also being influenced because of the presence of Indian American leaders in every level of American society. And this is silent. And nobody knows about these things, the undercurrents. And this is what I am feeling as as a senior resident of United States. This has got far-reaching consequences for the benefit of both countries. And I would say this is a warning to China, because on the one hand, America is taking steps to kick or discourage the Chinese students. On the other hand, they are encouraging Indians in America. So, this is a very important development.
Yes. Yes. Any other? Okay. So Indian Americans, yes, their participation in all spheres of American life, be it in economic sphere, healthcare, medical, so many physicians, uh, on the Wall Street, so many investment bankers and analysts and financial analysts. In the Silicon Valley, entrepreneurs, VC, venture capitalists. In academia, as you said, Harvard Business School, Nitin Noria, he was for 8 years, and just last month he stepped down and replacement Indian. Uh, yeah, so hotels, motels, the hospitality, the small, medium hotels, the potels, all across America. Uh, yes, and as you're saying that this is a silent, if not a, yeah, something like a silent undercurrent or a silent revolution, which will enrich, of course, American society, American economy, American social life, but at the same time, it would enrich US India relations also, without doubt. Without doubt. Now, in this cycle, about how many people of Indian origin from the US Congress to the school boards and to other local I mean even states assemblies, about how many candidates are contesting, you think, or who started out, many may have lost out during the primaries actually, right? Now it's lesser number who would be in the game, but what number you think started out in the primaries across congressional and local elections? About 200, about 150? What is your estimate?
Yeah. No, it was reported last week there are 70 candidates of Indian origin running for local, state, and federal elections. The
These are 70 right now,
right,
last week report, right?
right
So
now,
when they would have 6 months ago, many of them would have started out, many of them would have lost in the primary, so they're out, right? So the
right,
number which would have started in the participatory process would then have been around 200 maybe, and
200. Yes, could be.
okay. So 70 now contesting,
Yes.
okay, in the field.
And the most important uh, Indian who would be elected will be Senate, senator from Maine,
Oh yes, against Susan Sarah Gideon. Sarah,
Indian American, but
yeah,
she's married to an American, I think.
yeah.
So she is going to be elected
You,
Democratic senator, and she right now the reports are the Collins will be defeated by her senior senator from Maine.
yes,
Collins. She will be
yes,
defeated by an Indian American lady.
yeah.
So that will be
Sarah
an
Gideon.
important achievement for India in the
Hmm.
U.S. Senate. In addition to Kamala Harris.
Hmm. Hmm.
Kamala Harris also is Indian American, so there will be two senators. I mean, Kamala Harris could be the vice president also. We don't know.
Sure, sure. Uh-huh. Hmm. Right.
But
Yes, there are a few other congressmen also, or Preston Kulkarni from Texas, and
Texas,
Sarah
yes,
Gideon, of course, there, and
like
others.
New Jersey, one Mehta is contesting as a senator against the incumbent Democratic senator. Uh, that's another important elective office.
Hmm. Yes, yes.
So we have
I
three.
would,
Yes.
may I? Yeah. I would request our viewers to please keep on commenting, asking any questions. This is a slow conversation with Mr. Ven Parameswaran, the chairman of the Asian American Republican Committee based out of New York, ex Wall Street banker, former CEO of the Asian Securities Corporation, been there in the United States for the last 66 years, one of the earliest Indians to be in the US. We are trying to decode what makes Trump attractive to Americans, or at least to the Americans who go out and vote for him and would make him the president come this November 3rd if his message goes out. Now, it seems we have some comments also coming in. We will be more than happy to keep. Uh, Again, okay, it seems we have a news junkie with us, Ishleen. She is asking, Sir, when is the next presidential debate? I'm a little bit unknown of it.
Yeah.
Next is debate
Next
is Thursday next, I think. Yeah.
next debate is on Thursday. Next Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay. So, okay, next Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So, if I could follow up with the question from this viewer, because that's what makes it maybe more interesting to the people. So, how do you think the next debate will play out? What will be the key points at which Trump will attack Biden?
Yeah. See, next debate is going to be the most important debate and the only debate before the election on November 3rd. Therefore, both Biden and Trump will formulate strategies to win the debate. Who will win? We don't know. The first debate between Biden and Trump did not do well at all, and Biden won, according to the survey. Although the Trump might have uh, might have got encouragement from his base in in electoral college states. So in the next debate, I am sure President Trump will try to close in on Biden. I would think if I were advising him,
Yes, sir. That's what I want you to think. If you have been advising people, so we will not take names, but yeah, if you were advising,
I would ask him to focus on economy and foreign policy totally. Even if he is questioned on pandemic and other inconvenient questions for him, as a politician, he should not answer those questions. Instead, every time he should be talking about economy and foreign policy. Why? Because this is a marketing strategy. My MBA is in marketing from Columbia Business School. So, if you talk about your strength, there are people out there listening to you, and you will get more votes. Because as economy is more important, recognized by Gallup poll. Are you better off today than 4 years ago? This is the kind of question which Reagan used during the debate, and he won. He asked the question, "Are you better off?" He is actually the original uh,
Trump,
politician
no.
who used this phrase, "Are you better off today than 4 years ago?" Now, instead of Trump saying that, Trump has been helped by uh, the reputed Gallup poll, and 56% are saying we are better off. And Trump has not used this. If I'm advising Trump, I would say use this. What Gallup poll has found out in their research, and use economy. How many jobs were created during Trump's administration? Unemployment was historical low, 50 years low of 3.4%. Wages up. Stock market went from 18,000 to 30,000. Uh, 18,000 to 30,000. Dow Jones average. Uh, trade relations amongst China, no, amongst USA, Mexico, and in United States and Canada, and trade relations with other countries. Many of them he succeeded. He has to talk about it. The Biden, if he wants to succeed, he is going to talk about pandemic because that is the weakest. Democratic Party is trying to make Trump responsible for the deaths arising out of pandemic. Though it is unfair, this is politics. It is working. It's working to their advantage. So Biden will focus on that. But Trump should always focus on foreign policy and economy. What is his strength? And he has done a lot in foreign policy and economy. See, what he did three and a half years is more important than what is happening in last 6 months. He should be able to formulate that during the discussion. That would be
Excellent.
my advice. So this debate is going to decide. In fact, after the debate, the polls may be different. It will impact in a big way. This debate, the this debate is very important.
Sure.
So Trump also knows that he didn't do well. He has been criticized by the media, by his own people. So he may be different. We don't know, but nobody can predict Trump. That's his asset. His biggest.
And that
Nobody can
and
predict
that
Trump.
yes. And that is where we started from. I mean, when we started the slow conversation, I think that was one of your opening comments, or amongst your opening comments, that one of Trump's key strengths is that nobody knows how he would act at any point of time on any issue, and keeping the element of unpredictability up his sleeve always. Thank you so much, Wen. I think it's a beautiful conversation going. We've been having many viewers, many questions. I encourage viewers to please keep, waving by, pop in a question. We'll be more than happy to take your questions and answers. And this video would be available on YouTube also as a recording, and we will share it again. But at this point of time, we are right now on Facebook Live, going live to our friends and viewers on the Imagine India Facebook page, on my personal Facebook page, and on the personal Facebook page of Mr. Ven Parameswaran, who's the chairman of the Asian American Republican Committee out of New York, a savvy analyst, a very savvy mind. In fact, he is my mentor, as I often say. So when I know I mean, we are always like, though it's a slow conversation, but still, we have the, the foundation of time in a sense, and it's been a wonderful conversation. I would invite, if you would have any closing thoughts or closing comments to share with our viewers, and our viewers, as our viewers would know, are across the United States, some across India, of course, some across other countries also. In fact, on this discussion right now, we had some questions from somebody in Canada and another person in England. In fact, I had, and one from Korea. So some are watching, we don't know where. So when, if you would like to take, and you can take any of your thoughts to share as your closing, one or two comments, or you may take as much time as you want, but any topic you would want to share within this aspect. The core idea of this show today was to identify what is the pulse of America that Trump has, his hand on, and it resonates with him, because even if through electoral college, even if number two in popular vote, still he represents in real numbers millions and millions and millions of Americans, right? So what he is doing obviously resonates with millions and millions. So how what is this magnetism, his message, or he is in tune with what the millions think, and that's why he has this, this following.
Yeah. See, majority of American voters are white people, and Trump is appealing to the majority. As a result, he is able to get more white people supporting him than his opponent. And this was a fact when he fought against Hillary Clinton. It will be this time he will get more percentage of white votes.
Hmm.
That please keep that in mind, because there is a silent majority, silent 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 voters, or uh, shy voters they are called,
Hmm.
supporting Trump, and they all will emerge as genuine voters for Trump in electoral college states. of Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Minnesota. I will not be surprised if he wins Minnesota this year and also New Hampshire. Why New Hampshire? Biden in the primary, he won only very small percentage, under 10%. If only 10% of the Democrats liked him during the primary, why should they like him more within 6 months? So there is a very good possibility Trump will be elected in New Hampshire. That's my own opinion. Same thing, Minnesota, he lost only by 0.2% or something. And he has campaigned there twice already. And there is a possibility. Also, Minnesota has benefited because of the deal with Canada on dairy farming and other industries there. So there's a good possibility he may back Minnesota. So Ohio is already comfortable there. He will win. And Michigan, the Trafalgar poll is saying he will win. So whatever it is, the more evangelicals are going to vote for Trump this time because he's appointing a third Supreme Court judge who will be confirmed before the election. So that is a very important point for many people, the law and order, and also the politics. Finally, whenever there is a dispute, major disputes, everything goes to the Supreme Court. So if you have your own people there, so you're going to get victories, judgment in your favor. This is a very huge development. So that is why Biden is being asked, are you going to pack the Supreme Court if you're elected? If you're going to change the composition and increase the number to create the balance. So that is that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Before I finalize the discussion, I also want to make a comment about your initiative in panel discussion and how this Image India. At the end, I want to comment. Give me an opportunity.
Sure, please. When this is a slow hour, we have slow time. All yours.
I can do that now?
Yes, sir. Please.
Yeah. I know Robinder for 15 years now. And I have been watching Robinder as a businessman and more as a man who started Image India Institute, a think tank in New Delhi. As a leader of the think tank and also a leader in India, he is also participating and in several TV broadcasts in India in Hindi and English. I would not have expected Robinder to have panel discussions with Indian Americans on American election. I watch the cable television in America and I read the press media here. But last week I tuned in and Robinder put together a panel of 4 people, 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. They are leaders, one from Maryland, I think one from Maryland, and I'm trying to remember now. Maryland, another was from Michigan, one from Virginia. Is it Virginia? Virginia, and another person was that I forget. California. California, I think. Four, four or five. What
Yeah,
I'm
four
saying,
and several. Yeah.
yeah, the panel discussion, the fact that he was able to, I want to congratulate Rubinder for selecting top leaders from both parties so that the discussion was, and also he anchored the discussion in such a way it was a balanced discussion, not favoring either party. And Robinder wanted to bring out the best from the leaders so that the audience will be informed. So editorially, Robinder has made a huge contribution. Nobody has done this so far. You see, if that panel discussion had been shown on television in the United States, even in the main media like PBS or C-SPAN, people would be appreciating. Many non-Indians, many Americans. Why? Because the importance of Indian Americans is being discussed in America. Why they are so successful? Why they are number one in every level of society? So the politics also is important. So the election and how they are able to contribute to the election and analysis. So I'm grateful to Robinder for creating the opportunity of presenting balanced opinions from leaders of Indian American community. Thank you, Robinder.
Thank you, Wen. Thank you so much for your such gracious words. I'm truly humbled and definitely thank you so much. It feels good to know, that what one is doing is kind of, making some impact. But more than that, I'm so much humbled by your gracious thoughts. You are an icon to my mind, with your vast experience across, across politics, across diplomacy, across corporate investment banking and American politics and the Indian American diaspora in the US. So your work truly means so much. I'm so humbled. I thank you very much. I've learned so much from you. Of course, you said that we've known each other for the last 15 or maybe more, slightly years. But in all this period, I learned often and very much from you, which I often say, and that is why it's an honor and a privilege for me, your friendship and listening to you. And also, the reason we set up this show in a slow format was that we all know that in life and in politics, there are, let's say, people choose sides. It's okay. You may be on the one side or the other, but if we can have a good, relaxed discussion, try and highlight whatever the flaws or strengths of your own camp, at least the viewers can have some idea of what one particular philosophy is going. So right now, like today, we discussed about the Trump persona and his appeal, his magnetism to the voters in America. Similarly, tomorrow or the next day, I'll be talking to somebody from the Biden, or the Democrat camps, and again asking them the same thing: that what's it that makes Biden so attractive and draws about half of America? Okay, there are ideas and values of both parties which are different. Some people are drawn to one, some to other, and then of course there are those range of controversies which play out. But the point being that the value of this discussion is that our viewers, we are able to share, and we ourselves also kind of able to reflect. And it's a continuous process of learning and keeping the focus on analysis of what is happening in an objective manner. Now, that being said, once again, it was my pleasure to have you with us today, Mr. Ven Parameswaran. As we said, the chairman of the Asian American Republican Committee, former CEO of the first Asian Securities Corporation on the Wall Street, New York, resident of the United States since 1954, an MBA from Columbia University, And of course, also my fortune and honor to have him as a senior advisor to the Imagine India Institute, from which we benefit so much with his counsel and brainstorming. We may not agree on everything, and we should not actually, but we brainstorm, we discuss, and then we keep on absorbing. That is the path to, maybe growth, if one could say. So, with that being said, when I will be closing this broadcast within 30 seconds, I'll tell you when I'm just ending the broadcast. But once again, thanks so much to the viewers. Look forward to keep you informed of whatever we can share through this format of slow hour or other formats of the panel hour or the hangout hour we have, where we discuss issues of global affairs. American politics is right now the top topic these days. But recently, a couple of weeks ago, on Gandhiji's birthday, October 2, when for FII, and of course for FII for our viewers, many of them may have seen it, we hosted a discussion between India and Korea on October 2,
Mhm.
with some people in Korea and some people in India, with the theme of how can Gandhi's principles be applied to help create peace in the Korean Peninsula.
Mhm.
Right. So that was a very interesting discussion. In fact, we are looking to discuss, keep that more. So it's not only America and American elections, which of course is one personal favorite of mine and all of us, but there are other favorites also. But America happens to be first among the equals, if you may say so. Right. So that being said, thank you once again. And this will be available on YouTube also, and we look forward to our next episode. Thank you very much. This broadcast is now ending.
Thank you, Robinder.
Thank you.